Hey, what's up? Sunzi here, and today we have another keyboard video. This keyboard is the M1 from Beside Studio. I got this keyboard it's limited in stock on KBD fans before the group buy. So once they run out of their in-stock boards for the M1, then they'll start the group buy, and then you can get this keyboard through a group buy if you really want it. So yeah, I don't know if they're still going to be in stock, but you could still possibly get your hands on them through KBD fans at this point. Opening up the box, there's only two things inside of the entire box. One is this cable. So let's talk about this cable for a little bit. It's an okay cable. The main disadvantage is how short and how stiff it is. You can see how this cable over here, the USB port the USB-C is kind of like 90 degrees. That's because of how the way the keyboard is just designed. The USB-C is on the side of the keyboard instead of the back because there's a specific reason why it needs to do this. So putting the cable aside, let's look at the keyboard itself. I've already installed stabilizers on this keyboard. This keyboard itself does not come with actual stabilizers, so you'd have to buy your own stabilizers for it. The keyboard is not gasket mount. It's sort of tray mount, I guess. There's like 6 screws on the top and 6 screws on the bottom, just holding it all together. But as you can see, it actually doesn't have any visual screws on the bottom. So it's kind of like in terms of on the bottom piece, it's like a screwless design. There's this transparent part over here, so you can kind of see the PCB through this, which is kind of neat. But through this transparent part, you'll realize that there's no actual case foam. So there's foam between the plate and the PCB, but that's the only foam there is. There's no actual case foam for this. So the entire keyboard itself is fully made out of aluminum, but it feels surprisingly light, mainly because of how thin the aluminum is for this keyboard. So my Sanjo 60 keyboard, which is this keyboard right here, this is a much heavier keyboard, and this is a 60% board. The M1 is a 75% board, but even though this is a 75 and this is a 60, this board, just the aluminum case, the metal is so much thicker compared to the aluminum on the M1 that this is just a much more heavier keyboard compared to this one. Putting the Sanjo 60 away. So this one is, I guess, better for carrying around and traveling if you decide that that's what you want to do with it. But one thing to keep in mind is that this keyboard, when you purchase it, it does not come with an actual case, which I feel like it should because it costs around $300 for the board. So I feel like they should provide a case for it. But unfortunately, this keyboard does not actually come with a case. So when you buy it, if you want to take it around with you, most of the time you'll have to basically just purchase your own case. I'll link some description. I'll put some links down in the description for cases. I think some of the good ones are from Canon Keys, but KBD fans definitely has some pretty nice ones as well. So yeah, the only thing that's left for us to talk about, I mean, this is an aluminium basically plate, so no FR4s. So the last few things to talk about this keyboard, there's two things really only left about this keyboard. One is this top piece. You can just pop this top piece off really easily because it's connected with magnets, so no screws. So the PCB itself is a hot swap, so whenever you feel like replacing the switches on this keyboard, just pop this off and just like take out the switches and replace them with the ones you desire and put this back on. So it's pretty easy. And then there's also this button right here, which is the main feature of this keyboard, is this button. And we'll talk about what it does exactly later, but I can tell you it's an insane button. Like, this button has an insane secret technique behind it. All right, so let's install our switches and keycaps. So the keycaps we'll be using, I don't have them with me right now. They're actually in another room, but they're I kind of just got this keyboard spontaneously, so I didn't really prepare a build for it. So the keycaps that we'll be using are just some blank PBT keycaps. They're black, like gray, blackish, blank PBT keycaps. But the switches that we'll be using though are lubed dark amber switches from Canon Keys. These are tactile switches, and I think they feel pretty nice. So yeah, we'll be using these switches and some blank PBT keycaps. So yeah, let's see how that goes. So yeah, you guessed it. The secret ability or the secret technique of this keyboard is that it can adjust its typing angle with this button, because there's a motor actually in this section of the keyboard. So I guess you can call this a true mechanical keyboard then. I think the build went quite well. These dark amber switches actually feel really good. I actually really like these switches. I would say, is this keyboard worth the price? $300? I'd say yes. The one thing I would like to point out about this keyboard that may make people a little bit hesitant to buy it is that I feel like it's just not very sturdy. So there's a lot of those custom keyboards out there that are just built really strong and you're really confident in them. This one is just a little bit thin. It's not the most sturdy keyboard there is out there. So it's just when you're like popping in and out switches in this keyboard, like you're doing your hot swap thing, or when you're building it overall, you're just not very confident because it's like a little bit shaky and the aluminum is a bit thin. So you have to like be extra careful while you do all of that. So yeah, that's like the only downside I would say of this keyboard. So yeah, that pretty much just wraps up this video. Overall, yeah, a really good keyboard. If you guys are interested, you know, first ever keyboard that I guess ever was made that has a built-in motor in it that can move up and down. So yeah, if you guys are interested in this keyboard, I'll put a link in the description for KBD fans, and you know, just feel free to go stop by and like just purchase one for yourself. It's a pretty interesting keyboard actually. One of the first keyboards that actually has something new to bring to the table instead of other boring keyboards basically. Alright, so be sure to like and sub, and I'll see you guys in the next one then. Later.